So hello everyone. Surprise. I randomly did Saturday scare since it's Saturday. I'm supposed to be doing my hair right now, so excuse my edges for looking weak because I need to go wash it and style it. So maybe I'll look better tomorrow for the Attack on Titan video if I finish tonight. But we're gonna do something different this week because I ain't feel like struggle searching. So I'm gonna just pull videos from here. If I miss some, we'll go back to them another day. I'm gonna start with this video Jordan sent called 10 Scary Cold Cases that were never solved. Cause this says that can never be solved. I don't know what that is. This says that can never be solved. But we're gonna start off with this video. It's 10 minutes. We'll try to get some other little ones in here. Then I gotta go. So
It would
let's
be
get started.
amazing to live in a world where we didn't have to worry about anything bad happening to us like in Minority Report, where we have this system of futuristic beings that can tell us when something bad is going to happen and everything's going to slip into chaos. Unfortunately, we don't have people like that, and people go missing all the time. Some of them we're able to save, but many of them disappear and we will never find out what actually happened to them. Hello again, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I am your host, Jada Reyna, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I went through some of the strangest mysteries out there, the enigmas that no one has ever been able to solve, to bring you today's list of top 10 scary cold cases that have never been solved. Grab your thinking caps because we are going to be getting right into it.
I hate when my son talk like this to me. Like how they be talking. Today we're gonna do
also stick around for the whole
whatever. Like however he said it, that's how my middle son be doing. I'd be like, please stop.
Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram.
Not your pet.
And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 10, we have the Long Island Ripper. If you live in Long Island, I'm going to tell you something that's going to make it a little harder for you to sleep tonight. Since 2010, almost like clockwork, when summer rolls around, so does the Long Island Ripper. There have been 15 people that have been possibly killed by this murderer. The way that the police have been able to link their crimes together is by the tools that the Long Island Ripper uses to kill and dispose of the bodies. It seems that all of the victims have their throats slit and then are wrapped in the same tarp and rope. Most of the people killed by this person are prostitutes, and it seems that this maniac loves to prey on women. Police have investigated
Not trying to be
this
fake
case
Jack the
several
Ripper.
times, but every time it comes up cold. They think it could be someone coming from out of state to perform these crimes and then drive back to where they live. Coming in at number 9, we have the murder of Bob Crane. Bob Crane was a budding TV star back in the 1960s. He was starting to become very well known in Hollywood. He ended up becoming good friends with a man by the name of John Henry Carpenter, who was a
I feel like I've heard of this before.
And
he killed him in the hotel room or in the room or something.
Film, but not in the traditional sense. They both like to go to bars, pick up women,
I think I heard of
take
this
them
though.
home to film their sexual encounters with them. You know, it's hard to meet people who have the same interests as you. I only tell you this because eventually the two had a falling out, and not long after that, Bob Crane was found dead, and blood matching Bob's blood type was found in the trunk of John Carpenter's car. Now, eventually the police dropped the case because they couldn't find enough evidence to put Carpenter behind bars, but it makes
That's all they need nowadays, blood in the
Bob
trunk.
had some dirty dirt on his dirty friend, and John Carpenter wanted to make sure that he was silenced forever. Coming in at number 8, we have the West Mesa Bone Collector. Imagine this, you're going out for a nice walk with your dog, and your dog finds a bone. You think, oh, that's kind of gross, I don't want my dog chewing on some bone that he just found, so you pull it out of your dog's mouth, and then you realize, oh, this is a human bone. Well, that happened in New Mexico about 11 years ago. This woman who was on a stroll with her dog called the police, and then they brought in a whole crew to dig and find out how much of a body was buried there. Well, they were in for a big surprise because there was way more than just one person. In fact, they dug up 11 bodies which all belonged to women. When the police went back through their files to match up the dental records, it seemed that some of these women had been missing since 2001. This was a horrific sight. There was almost no motive to connect these women together, so the case has been unsolved to this day. Coming in at number 7, we have Betsy Ardsma. This is one of the wildest cases because it happened right out in the open, and not a single person was able to
In the
find out what
open?
happened. Betsy Ardsma was at the Penn State University Library, and this was back in 1969. There was no internet, so if you wanted to get any sort of information, this would be the spot to go to, especially if you're a student. You're not going to graduate unless you take the time to read some books. Now, something strange was happening. One girl was sitting in the library and had been there for a few hours. It almost seemed like she had fallen asleep. Eventually, someone went to go check on her, and they realized that there was a small pool of blood underneath her. So they called an ambulance, but when she got to the hospital, they found out that she had already been dead for hours. How did a girl get stabbed in a school library and not make enough noise to alert anyone and then bleed out before she could get any help? And of course, the killer was never caught. Coming in at number 6, we have the Axeman of New Orleans. Back before DNA testing, I think it was a lot easier to get away with murder.
The Axeman, I've heard of this legend.
Able to do what he did. The year was 1918, and a series of people were turning up dead, all with the same MO. They were all slashed to death with an axe, which is probably one of the most brutal ways you can take a person out. There were a few leads. All the murders took place in New Orleans, and all of the victims were Italian. Some people suspected that this was a move by one of the crime families to try and stop the Italian mob from moving into the southern city. Very little evidence was able to be put together outside of that. The only other thing that the police had to run on was a letter that was sent to the New Orleans newspaper that might have come from the Axeman himself. In it, he wrote that he didn't kill anyone who listened to jazz, which kind of sounds like a jazz musician, and then he tried to make jazz more popular by telling people if they listened to it, they wouldn't get killed. Coming in at number 5, we have Bible John.
Not Bible John.
Got to the bottom of this one, but then it slipped through their fingers. In 1968, reports of a killer were starting to swirl around Scotland. It was said that he would read verses of the Bible to his victims before he killed them. 3 women were killed, but no one was ever caught. Then,
like Pulp Fiction,
a young girl was killed in a similar way to the 3 women who were killed in 1968, and police were almost able to put the guy away. They nailed it down to Peter Topin, but after they didn't have enough evidence, they had to let him go. Coming in at number 4, we have John Benet Ramsey. This case made some major headlines.
I done seen so much shit about this.
Goes missing at the age of 6. Parents call the cops and everyone goes looking for her. Major search is done, but the girl is nowhere to be found. A ransom note is found asking for money, and they will return the young Ramsey girl. The family is terrorized, and then everything gets even wilder when the father of JonBenet Ramsey goes into the basement and comes back holding his dead daughter in her arms. He had found her dead in the basement. There's been so many questions as to who might have killed this poor little girl. Some people think it was her parents. Other people say it was her brother. There have been several people throughout the years who have admitted
I seen that brother one,
but none of these claims seem legitimate. Coming in at number 3, we have the Cleveland torso murderer. Back in the 1930s, some extremely gruesome murders started to pop up throughout Cleveland. Murders are always brutal, but what made these ones so much more disgusting was that it seemed that the killer was removing the head of his victims when they were still alive. Once he had decapitated the person, he would go to work on the rest of their body. He would start to hack off their legs and arms and then sometimes saw them in half. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the Cleveland torso murderer earned his nickname, and of course, never caught. Coming in at number 2, we have the Atlanta Ripper, one of the most terrifying killers to ever hit Atlanta. Something truly tragic about this case is that some people think the murderer could have been caught or the murders prevented if it wasn't for the race of the victims. All the victims were young black women. So it's suspected that the police didn't do a full investigation because this happened in 1911. There were 5 dead women before police even started to piece the cases together. Of course, back in the year 1911, the chances that race had nothing to do with it are pretty slim. All the women were killed in the same fashion. They would have their throats slit and then be left out in the streets to bleed. And coming in for the number 1 spot are the Hinterkaifeck murders. Alright guys, we've made it all the way to the number 1 spot, and what better way to end than a murder mystery that also is attached to a bunch of supernatural happenings. The Hinterkaifeck farm was where a family of 6 lived in Germany back in 1922. There were rumors that a dark spirit hung over the farm and brought misfortune to everyone who stayed there. There was even a housemaid who worked there for a short time but left because she was convinced that the farm was haunted. One day a neighbor noticed that the family did not come out to attend to their farm and that they had left a fire burning in their barn. When this neighbor went to go investigate, they saw that the whole family had been taken out to the barn and bludgeoned to death with a pickaxe. The person responsible for this murder, of course, was never caught. Alright everyone, that is all we have here for today's list, and as promised, I'm going to be doing some more shout-outs. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me.
Yo, that's some wild shit. Like, you done took the whole family out to the morning and pickaxed them to death. Who the fuck did that? I can understand some of these not being solved though, because they're like old. There's a whole bunch of old shit that I never saw. What is this? This is Miss Bayonetta. 3 disturbing retail stories. Let me see how long this is. It's 11 minutes, so I guess we could do that one too. Chile.
I work at a
Not
CVS
CVS.
24 hours a day. I've been working.
I don't think I ever seen a CVS look like this.
And I'm one of the higher ups. I
Like this
take on
design?
overnight shifts because I believe it helps my chances of getting another promotion, and I like to be on my boss's good side. There would only be one employee working the 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, as that's all that's really needed. Once the pharmacy opens at 9 a.m., that's when business usually picks up. The 2 employees before me left after I was set up. At my hours, so few customers come in that my job varies from cash register to simply stock working. The beeper
Hopefully
at the
y'all
front
can
door
hear
that would
me
go
okay.
off would alert me when a customer
My mic
arrived,
moving
so I
weird.
know when to go back to the register and wait. A few hours into my shift, I went back to the register to check my phone, which I had charging, and I had a new voicemail from an unknown number. I pulled it up and listened. It was some weird voice on the other end that I couldn't tell belonged to a male or female, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. Like, the sound quality was terrible. The transcription was unavailable for that reason. Obviously, I just ignored it because everyone gets weird calls once in a while. As I continued doing stock,
Not them showing the
my
camera like
phone
this.
started to go off. I pulled out my phone and saw a bunch of texts from that number that just called. The first text said, "Call back when you can." The second one said, "I know you're at work, I'm coming to visit." The third one said, "What time are you working till?" I had no idea who this could be. I texted back, "Who the hell is this?" The typing bubble popped up for like 20 seconds. Then it went away. They didn't respond to that. Okay. A little unnerving, yes, but I still had to go about my work. Eventually, I heard the ding by the front door, alerting me someone entered, so I went back to the register and waited. I didn't see anyone walking around, though, and I waited there for quite a while, actually. Eventually, I just decided, okay, that's enough waiting, and went back to stocking shelves. I'd say it was around 2 a.m., a couple hours into my shift. I got a new cart full of items from the back section, this time beauty products, the second aisle in the store. I brought the cart over there and noticed a woman in the corner of the next aisle over, the first aisle. I stepped into
I can't
the
work
aisle
at places
and
that
looked
be
at
open
her.
24
I saw
hours
she
when they
knew
get
me.
like late and it ain't a
She
lot of
looked
people in
down at one
there.
of the products in the corner. She didn't acknowledge me. Didn't know if she heard me or not, but I just felt awkward, so I left her alone.
I need to go get some of them
I
lippies.
walked back to the register just to wait there for her to finish up, and then I started getting more texts from that number. I was basically getting spammed with random messages that made no sense, except one that said, "I'm here." So I said screw it and I called the number. I heard a ringing sound coming from inside the store, and my heart started beating twice as fast. I felt a heavy feeling in my throat. I canceled the call, and the ringing stopped. I brought myself to walk over to that last aisle again, where the ringing was coming from. That woman was still there in that corner. I yelled, "Joke's over, I'm calling the cops, whoever you are." I almost knew it had to be some girl I knew playing a prank on me. I went back around the counter because for some reason I felt safer there. I really didn't want to call the police though. Instead, I called my best friend, who picked up on the first try. I asked him to think of anyone we knew with brunette hair who had my number and would be playing a prank.
What if she got a wig on?
He guessed a few names, but based on the body shape of that woman, it was none of them.
Not the body shape.
My friend told me to just stop being a pussy since it was a girl. I told him, alright, whatever.
Okay.
I was about to suck it up and walk over there when I noticed her, peering half of her head from around the corner of the beauty aisle. She had to be kneeling down too because the shelf in that aisle is lower than the rest. The first thing I noticed was blood trickling down her cheeks. She was smiling and I heard her making these fucked up laughing sounds. It looked like she cut the skin on her cheeks right next to her lips. And this was when I realized she wasn't our age. She looked like she was anywhere from 30 to 40. I took one step closer and I recognized her. It was this lady with serious mental issues who had DM'd me with a fake account before. And as far as I knew, she was dangerous and was supposed to be in some psychiatric center.
This is why you don't accept DMs from strangers.
My Instagram, which I have set as a public figure profile, which includes my phone number.
Why? If you work at CVS?
Peering at me, smiling.
That's dumb. That sounds dumb.
I yelled at her to get away.
Public figure, here's my phone number. I work at CVS. Come on in.
I ran to one of the back aisles and hid from her.
She should have got your ass. That's dumb.
When I heard the beep of the front door go off. I went to go check if she was still there, but she wasn't. And so I called 911 and had the police take a report, showed them the CCTV footage, and warned them of her name and that she had serious mental issues. The officers were very nice and told me they'd be in the immediate area in case she returned. I blocked the number she was texting me from, and I like to think the police contacted her family. I used to work at the dairy aisle in a grocery store. It was the worst job I ever had. A lot of heavy lifting, expired dairy products, and shivering. The big dairy cooler was in the back of the store, in the area where all the groceries yet to be stocked on the shelves were kept. I would often just chill in the dairy cooler, no pun intended, because the supervisors on duty would never think to check on me in there. I'd bring a hoodie just so I wouldn't get cold. Anyway, one night I was working till 10 p.m. The store got quiet past 9. However, Mr. Senko, the supervisor who was a pain in the ass, was on duty. So after stocking the milk cartons one more time for the night, I brought everything to the back area again. On my way back to the dairy cooler to just hide and chill in there, I saw very briefly, for like half a second, the face of someone through the glass of the cooler door. But they either just ducked down or faded away out of my view. Who was in there? I went through the doors to see, and got hit with
Who finna go up in this? All this shit everywhere.
Blowing cold air into the room. Boxes, pallets, and crates of milk everywhere, but no immediate sight of anyone. There were many places to hide behind the giant piles of boxes, but no one was in there. So I did my usual. I sat on an empty milk crate hidden behind a big pile of boxes. Then suddenly the lights in the cooler turned off, and it went almost pitch dark, besides the light from outside the cooler coming in through the glass of the door. I had a mini freakout because I thought Mr. Senko knew I was in here and was basically signaling for me to come out. I stood up and came out from around the boxes, and then I froze. Something was blocking partial view of the two cooler doors. There was a silhouette of a really tall person right in front of me. It couldn't be Mr. Senko, he was kind of short. The figure right in front of me had to be a foot taller than me. Suddenly, the light flickered back on, and the figure I thought I saw right in front of me was no longer there. I nervously walked around where I thought I saw something standing. I even waved my hand through the air in that spot. I somehow felt...
Y'all see that Chobani yogurt back there in the back?
So I burst
yeah, I
through
fucks
the
with
doors
them.
and shut the dairy cooler light. I peeked inside now with the light
What else
on,
they got in here?
but that figure I saw in there just a moment ago was still gone. I threw my apron off and clocked out early.
Oh.
I didn't care if Mr. Senko would be mad. I just needed to get out of there. That was the one paranormal thing to ever happen in my life.
Oh, not Lowe's.
Overnight stock shifts for various local Lowe's home improvement
Somebody in
stores.
here, some ghost trying to get their house
Whichever
approved.
specific location needs me for the night, usually dependent on which location is having the most business. My job is to unload trucks, operate forklifts in the back section and throughout the store, and do night stock work. The trucker on duty that night was Paul, the only other guy with me that night. Once we successfully unloaded the truck, he helped me sort them in the back room before going off to do another pickup with the truck. So I was left alone to continue work as normal. Nothing I wasn't used to. I scanned the new shipments to take inventory, then I'd bring the items out to the floor and stock shelves with the new items. That's exactly what I was doing, going back and forth from the back warehouse section to the main floor, stocking shelves, sometimes using the forklift. I was scanning items with the inventory gun towards the back section of the warehouse when a loud crash scared the living shit out of me, to the point that I jumped and turned around mid-air. It was a big box that had fallen off a large pile of pallets full of unopened packages. The box's contents didn't spill out. The box was still intact. So I went to get the forklift to lift the packages back up onto the pallet. It was at this point I smelt a funky odor.
Not funky.
It wasn't the most uncommon thing ever in the warehouse. So I continued my work. At some point later that night, I turned the corner into the paint aisle and saw someone walking all the way down at the other side. They were dressed in dark clothes.
Like, ain't y'all clothes? Like, what the fuck? That sounds like...
And they weren't wearing work clothes. So
I would have been throwing paint cans, all kind of shit.
And when they saw me, they took off running down an intersecting aisle. Naturally, I yelled again and started chasing after him. Of course, when I got to the intersecting aisle, he was
I'm finna clock out and leave them in there. I'm not finna follow them.
Still, I did one quick jog down the middle aisle to look through all the intersecting aisles, but I didn't see anyone.
Why people do that? I'm not finna chase nobody that's don't supposed to be in here.
Duty, but nobody even picked up. I was at a loss for who that could be. I had to assume it was an intruder. I returned to the warehouse.
You're gonna lose your life for Lowe's in this wood.
I heard another crash from the back section of the warehouse. I ran in that direction and discovered something had fallen from the same pile of pallets and boxes.
They ain't got no cameras?
That was it. I had to run and grab a ladder to go climb up the stack of boxes. When I got to the top, I realized there was a perimeter, or wall rather, of packages and boxes surrounding one big hole. In this hole, there was a homeless-looking man dressed in all black, the same man I had just seen. This was where the odor from earlier was coming from. He looked at me, and I looked back at him, speechless. I didn't know what to say. He got up and seemed as though he were coming to lunge at me. I quickly stepped down the ladder low enough to where I could jump off. Then I ran down the aisle of the warehouse and stopped. I got on the phone with the police, and a couple officers showed up 15 minutes later. Of course, the little...
Bitch, I'll be dead in 15 minutes.
...between boxes was empty now. We evacuated with all this stuff. Camera footage later revealed that man had been staying in that little secret spot he created for a whole week. No one really checks the camera footage unless there's a reason to. That's how he got away with it unnoticed for so long.
Child. I ain't gonna even comment on this one because a lot of that was just... Nobody got time for that. Not this not Meat King. Some of these are so old, I should be ashamed. I don't think I did the McDonald's one. Let's see, this by Pyro. It's only 3 minutes. Let's finish with this.
You look cute when you eat those fries.
Why he draw them like this?
Get a taste of that.
Yo, look at his neck right here where you can see the
good.
paint, like, Not him in the ball pit.
Come on in. The water's just fine.
They running everything for me. They already ruined Willy Wonka.
At least not that hard. You still haven't tried your Big Mac.
I wouldn't either.
Something wrong? I'd hate to see you go home hungry.
This so creepy.
Our
Yo.
bathrooms are very clean. You look like you have to take a tinkle. Go on.
Not the thing in the back saying you'll never get out alive. Try the Big Mac.
I got a 93 Toyota Paseo in the parking lot. Let's get out of here.
No, Ronald. No. Not them getting in the
Still
car.
like Logic. You know, the rapper. Yeah, but the needle dropper views him so poorly. I just don't really care for his music now. Well, this is my bad. It ain't much, but I certainly call it home. You look pretty
You
thirsty.
look like old methed out ass Ronald McDonald. I'm tired. Not them little booty cheeks.
Here you go, sweetie.
I wouldn't even drink that. Why would you follow this man? I'm so done right now. Like, what the fuck? Why would you at McDonald's without an adult? Like, what is this right now? I'm so triggered. Like, this shit is ignorant.
I just don't know why you didn't try the Big Mac. Was it me?
Look at his
Don't you
skin.
know how succulent it can taste? How beautiful.
Bitch, my
it
stomach
can
hurt.
really be?
Not every time they blink, we in a different
Don't be
situation.
afraid. When you come to your senses, I'll bring you back up.
Back up from what?
Be easy with him now. We really need him to try this Big Mac.
Yo, see, is that... Yo, I don't... Meat Canyon. I can't. Like, why do they draw stuff like this? They ruin everything. Like, this like the third video of theirs I done watched, and they all disgusting. Like, this... Y'all wanted Saturday scares, and y'all fucking got it. That creepy ass shit. Now I gotta wait like a whole hour and something before I even attempt to eat because I feel so disgusted. But if you tuned in for Saturday Scares and you still supporting this and supporting me, I appreciate it. I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. I will try to bring y'all more of these as I have free time. Y'all see I look busted. I got a lot of shit going on. So let me try to go do this head. But y'all stay safe and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.